Thank you so much, Kayode, for staying with me on that. But looking at this summit, though, what would you say are some of the top priorities for Nigeria in this arrangement?
I think one, I think you mentioned is financial services collaboration. I think London is a center for financial services, and they're going to help develop the Nigerian capital markets, which have been a bit of a doldrums for the last few years. So I think that helps. I think there's going to be a lot of talk about military cooperation, especially with the Boko Haram issue in the northeast, and helping strengthen both the police as well as the military, because there's already a lot of training going on by the British military for Nigerian militaries. I think there's a lot of talk around that. I also think in terms of Nigeria trying to look to efficiency in places like its ports and try and help the manufacturing sector and the power sector, that's places where the UK could provide some expertise.
All right, but looking at this as being the first inaugural summit coming in 2020, would you say the UK is coming late to the party because you've seen the level of engagement France has had with Africa? We've seen the French president visit of almost 17 African countries in the past 2 years. We've seen China and how aggressive they've been on the continent. Do you think the UK is coming late to the party here?
It is. It's a bit of a shame because given the history, the historical ties, you expect the UK to have more of an influence there. And I think the UK's style in terms of trade is very different from the French and the Chinese, less aggressive, less in your face, it's more behind the scenes. But I think they are now beginning, especially with Brexit, beginning to see that they have such a strong thing in the Commonwealth and trying to utilize that to improve trade ties across. I think Nigeria is a difficult case because Nigeria has always been reluctant to sign trade treaties they feel is not in Nigeria's interest. If you look at the EU trade treaty, which has been hanging for a number of years now, because Nigeria, for one, refused to sign it because they didn't think it was in Africa's interest. So things like that, I think, but I think UK is waking up to this and trying to put its best foot forward.
So, because I'm thinking this is the Brexit jitters is what's making them, spurring them on to do this so much now. But then, you know, I understand that the President Buhari is going to be meeting with investors. The Nigerian delegation is going to be meeting investors today. What would you like for Nigeria to take out of that engagement?
I think it's good. There's a high-powered delegation going, led by the President. So quick decisions can be made. I think the key thing that needs to discuss is ease of doing business. I think both international firms and local firms have been complaining about that. It's improving. They've been strong moves to improve it, but a lot more needs to be done. I think we need to improve security. There's no point chasing investment if people cannot have the security. And I think the reforms in the police, things like the police trust fund, we need to see more of that so people can feel secure to be able to invest. And I think also in terms of the capital markets and the fiscal policy around the capital markets and trying to encourage more use of the capital markets, either for lending for companies and various other things like that, I think that needs to be done.
All right, because I also understand that at this summit, they're going to launch a new investment guide. The UK's Department for International Development and Nigeria's the NIPC, they've been working hand in hand to get this out. How important is such a document?
The document is very important. The key thing is that things in the document, are they enforceable? Because it's all right writing a document, but if people come in and they find that things that are in the document are not what they see and in a reality basis, then it doesn't help. But I think things like the visa on arrival, that's very key. It was announced, there was some teething problems, but it seems to be working. And we need to make things like that easier. So investors find it easier to come into Nigeria for things like that. But I think it's very good to have the document and have a one-stop shop where foreign investors can go to the NIPC either as a one-stop shop, use the document as reference, and force any problems. And the NIPC can then go to the various different ministries to try and do that, because otherwise it's quite complex for a foreign firm to come to Nigeria and decide they have to go to different ministries to get different things. It doesn't really work.